If you are looking to buy a home this year, there are a few things that you have to follow and very important steps to get you from either owning your current home and into the next home or to purchase your first home. This is specifically for South Central Pennsylvania and for Northern Maryland, as those are the areas that my team here services. I'm Collin Boyer, your Pennsylvania and Maryland Realtor. And today I'm going to be going over the exact steps to purchasing a home this year or to get you prepared for next year to purchase a home. They purchased this property and completely re-renovated everything. It's Colin Boyer, your Pennsylvania Realtor, over schools here in York County, Pennsylvania. So we're going to go through from A to Z on what it's going to take for you to get started at the very beginning, to get out there to look at houses, to eventually closing on your house and moving in. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard this before. You always have to get pre-approved as your first step. It's very, very important because the lender is going to tell us exactly what we need and exactly what we are approved for, because then we can know what we can afford. Everybody can go online and you can look up on your Rocket Mortgage or your Zillow Home Loans and say, hey, I make $1 million a year. Boom, here's your pre-approval. This is what you're approved up to. There is a huge difference between what you're pre-approved to what you actually want to spend. So I know certain clients who are looking in South Central Pennsylvania, which is around Harrisburg, York, Lancaster, getting around into Dauphin County, Adams County, and even Baltimore County and some of the northern counties in Maryland is, hey, maybe we'll be approved for $250,000, but in reality, we only want to spend $200 because of the monthly payment. So that's going to be one of our very first important steps. And if you're watching this video, I'm guessing you're close to this area or you are really interested in purchasing a home this year. So what I want you to do is I'm going to give you the direct contact for our preferred lender. We work with Fremont Mortgage, the John Acton team, and we are going to put their contact information on the screen. And if you guys are actively looking, send them a text message. Here is the number here. Send them a text message and say, hey, Colin Boyer, I watched his video and he said to contact you guys for a mortgage. Can we schedule a call to go over our different financing options? Because that's going to be a huge step to get us started. And then Fremont will get us involved so that we're able to help you guys out and start looking for houses also. And if you're also looking to have a conversation with me, feel free to send me a text. My number's on the screen now, or send me an email. That's on the screen now as well. Or you can go down into the link in the description and book a just consultation Zoom meeting through my Calendly. That's going to be the best part. We can just load up our computers, see each other's faces to get acquainted with each other, and just kind of see and do this similar thing, but more personalized exactly towards what you're looking for. So that first step is going to be us getting approved so that we can know what our budget is and what we're truly looking for price-wise, because most times it comes down to monthly payment, and pre-approvals are going to be different for everybody. Depending on the school district, your tax rates are going to be different. You might have different loan amounts in different areas that you might be able to go FHA here, but if you're above a certain amount, you might have to go to a conventional loan. There's tons of different stuff. So you just have to make sure that we are connecting with a lender to get that step started first. The next step, if you do that lending part first, is going to be connect with a realtor. If you're looking in the areas we service, we are more than happy to help you, and we can get connected with you to set up our consultation. But if not, we know plenty of great referral agents in the areas all across the country and in Canada and all over the place. So if we can introduce you to a wonderful agent in your area, feel free to reach out to us as well, as we can make sure you get the best agent in the city that you're looking. But the next step, whenever we're sitting down with our clients and we have a budget in place, we have a time frame in place, and we have a location in mind, what we're going to do is we're going to pull up some houses in the area. We're going to see what realistically homes are selling for that we're looking for in our price range compared to what we're expecting, because just to be honest, sometimes it can be a lot different. You might say, hey, I've got a budget of $250,000. I'm looking for a 4-bed, 2.5 bath built after 1985. Odds are we're going to have trouble finding that unless we're maybe looking at townhouses, but still then it's going to be a little bit tough. We've got to make sure our price range is in line with the market, or we're going to go out and be disappointed in the homes that we're starting to see. Then after we pull those up, we're going to compare. Okay, we're looking at $250,000 houses. Let's pull up homes that were listed for $250,000 and see where they actually sold. So we're going to be able to pull up, hey, in this location, this home sold for $250,000, but it was listed at $200,000 and it got bid up, or it was listed at $225,000. And then we're going to compare, okay, homes that sold for $300,000, where were they listed at? If this home was listed at $250,000 and it sold for $300,000 and that's out of our budget, we're going to want to adjust really where we're looking. But once we have that nailed down and you have the agent that you've committed with and that you are going to be looking at homes with after you signed your exclusive buyer's agency, which is basically the paperwork that connects you and their broker so that they're your go-to agent to see all houses. And whenever you're signing these are going to go over how the agents get paid. It's always good to know. Most of the time, the sellers are covering all, if not a huge majority of what the agents are getting paid on the buyer side. So you're not going to have to pay your agent hourly to have these consultations, and you don't have to pay them if you don't buy a house. So you're going to be able to connect with these agents, get everything set up, and even see if it makes sense for you to start looking at houses. So your agent's most likely going to get paid 3%. Sellers most of the times are paying 3%, 2.5%, 2% to the buyer's agents. Sometimes you've got to make up a difference to get that up to the 3%, but the good news is majority of the time the sellers are paying most of that commission, so you're not worrying about breaking the bank to help or for the agent to help you find a house. So once you're going out to start seeing properties, you're also going to be able to know what the exact monthly payment and down payment is before you even go out to see the house. You can reach out to your agent and say, hey, Collin, can you send this to Fremont Mortgage so that we can start looking at what the down payment looks like, what the monthly payment looks like, just to make sure you're comfortable with it. If you're in different school districts, your payment could be $200 more a month for the same price versus being in X school district. And then once you start going out to look for houses and you find one you like, what is the next step from there? It's an offer. So whenever we're starting to get everything ready for an offer, there are a few important things that we really need to make sure that we're able to submit an offer. It's not a verbal, it's not a, hey, Mr. Seller's agent, are you guys willing to take $250 on this house and we can close in X amount of time? It's not like the TV shows. We are getting everything written up on paper, signed, and sent over to the seller's agent so they can present it to the seller to see if they're accepting our offer, or maybe we're competing with other offers as well. So we're going to want to know price. Depending on how long the home's been on the market, we might have to go over. If it's been on longer, we might be able to go below. We might even be able to get some seller's assist, but you have to know that first. After your agent has a conversation with the seller's agent, they can get an idea to figure out what price range really makes sense. The next thing we're going to need to know is closing time frame. We're going to need to know when we're looking to close, and sometimes it lines up with when the sellers want. Sometimes it's 30 days, 45 days. If the seller has to find another home, it might even be longer. And then we're also going to need to know good faith deposit. It's kind of like whenever you're buying a car. You're going to have to put a little bit of money down up front to hold the home in escrow until you close on the house. But the good news is it's not an extra payment. It goes towards your monthly payment. Then you're going to need to know inspections. Everybody has the question on inspections. Can we do them? Are we allowed to do them? Are people doing inspections? Are people waiving inspections? And I'll tell you, it depends on what houses you're looking at. If you're looking at something that's fresh on the market and there's multiple offers, you might have to waive inspections to be competitive. Your agent's never allowed to tell you, no, you're not allowed to do inspections, but they can say, hey, to be aggressive since we're competing, you might want to consider it, because we do lose out on offers sometimes if we're competing that don't have inspections when we have inspections, and most of the time the seller's taking that offer. But if you're able to get them, you will have a nice 10-day, 15-day inspection period to be able to go look at the house with your inspector. They're going to tell you the good, bad, and the ugly. And honestly, it is an ugly report. It's going to be about 15 pages or so, depending on your inspector. The good news is most of your big things are at the top in the significant findings portion, and you're going to maybe negotiate, maybe not negotiate, depending on what your terms in the contract were, to see if the seller's fixing anything or if you're negotiating the price. And typically you're wanting to keep that together so you don't have to terminate and go look at other houses. But obviously if there's major issues like a foundation's crumbling and it can't be fixed, or something can't be fixed that's just way too much money, sometimes it makes sense to move on to the next house. But ideally you're keeping it together because you put it under contract for a reason. It's most likely a good fit for you and your family. So once you have all of that stuff together, and there's going to be some more terms and conditions that you're going to have to put on the offer, but you send that out, and let's say you get your offer accepted. There you go. You are now in escrow, and you are going to be probably closing in 30, 45, 60 days, maybe 6 months if you're new construction, or a little bit longer. Just depends on where you're at and where they're at in the building process. But you're going to be going through, your agent's going to walk you through all of those contingencies. If you're doing the inspection, they'll walk you through the inspection. If you're doing the appraisal, they'll walk you through the appraisal. Most people who are financing do have to get an appraisal, and that's something you have to pay for upfront, not before you're under contract, but when you're under contract, to make sure that the home appraises so the lender can approve your file. So you're going to go through that whole fun, not really, it's more of a boring process and kind of nerve-wracking because it's 30 days out, 45 days out, and you're still not the owner of your new house yet, but most of the time you're super excited, and sometimes nerves can get to you. So once you go through all that, that is when you get to the closing table and you're able to buy your house. But I want to talk more about the financing side also, because it's a common misconception about some of the different loan products. Some people think they have to put 20% down. Some people think they have to go FHA, or they can't go FHA, or FHA's only 3.5% down. I want to tell you, that's how they get you. So it's pretty common. You're going to have other closing costs as well. You can put 20% down, you can put more down, you can pay cash, but I want to talk mainly about the first-time buyer conventional programs and the FHA program. It's a very common misconception. FHA is not a first-time buyer program. Yes, you can use it as a first-time buyer, but you can use it if you've bought 100 houses already. As long as it's your primary residence and you do not have an FHA mortgage on any other properties, and there's even some criteria that you can have two at the same time. You just have to sometimes either refinance or do something else. That's something better to talk to the lender about. You're able to use the FHA loan product as many times as you want. There's no limit as long as you just have one at a time. So they say 3.5% down. I want to tell you that is not the case unless you're getting seller's assist. So seller's assistance can be tough depending on the house. So if your agent is a good agent and they're setting expectations up front with you, they might say, hey, with needing seller's assist, we've got to look at houses that have been on the market for a while, or maybe houses that aren't getting as much attention as the brand new HGTV style houses that have 100 showings on them, because they're going to get offers. So you don't want to be disappointed and submitting offers against people that don't need seller's assist or have their full down payment when you have to ask the seller to cover some of your closing costs. So if you're not asking for seller's assistance, here in Pennsylvania and Maryland, you're probably going to need another 5 to 7%. You're going to need a 1% transfer tax. You're going to need different lender fees. You're going to need tax escrows. And this is a nice part about getting pre-approved first, is you really see what you can afford, or if we're on the right track to buying a house now, or if we should wait a couple months or years to make sure it makes sense for your financial situation. Financials come into play a lot whenever you're first starting to look at houses, because you want to see what you can get approved for. The last thing you want to do is go online to a lender who's not doing a lot of really in-depth qualifications like a lot of these internet lenders that we see the commercials all the time on YouTube and on the cable television shows or just wherever, sponsoring a lot of sports teams, if you're getting my hint. We are having trouble with them because they're not giving true pre-qualifications. They're not running through collecting all your documents, and let's say they do and you get approved with them and you're starting to look at houses. I'm going to be honest, most sellers agents are hesitant to accept them because of the rep they've built up with other agents. Sometimes it's hard to get your offer accepted if you're not working with a local, reputable, and respected lender, just because other agents aren't confident that we're going to get the file to closing. So we're going to want to make sure that we have everything lined up with the financing before, and be prepared. Even if it's 3.5% down, you're probably putting 8% to maybe 11% down to get the house. But you can still get seller's assist, and there are tons of other awesome grant programs that you might even be able to put less down. And even for VA, if you're a veteran, you can use your 0% down loan. You still have closing costs. They're still going to have that 5 to 7% in closing costs, so it's not truly 0% down. So there are a ton of other steps along the way, and I understand that this probably did not cover everything, but I feel like it might have set a good first step to start to get approved and to start looking for a home this year, or if you're looking in 3 years, most likely it's going to be the same process then. So if we can help you guys out in any areas in South Central Pennsylvania and Northern Maryland, or anywhere in the country, feel free to send me a message, give me a call, send me an email, or again, schedule a link down below in my Calendly, because we can just book it right to my calendar so I can make sure I'm available for you. Don't forget to follow me on all my social medias. That's where I keep everything super up to date and give sneak peeks for all of my house tours. If you're looking for more information in particular neighborhoods or particular areas, leave some video recommendations down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.